This week on Under NDA.
You live.
Hi, I'm Andrew. I work in gaming. I don't go outside.
Like, when was the last time you actually saw outside your house?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you working?
I thought you weren't supposed to ask any hard questions in this.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Under NDA, the podcast where we dig into some fascinating stories from the world of work delivered from our listeners, from our own experiences, from the internet. All stories are completely anonymized, which makes it so great and so special that we can actually be true and honest and have some great conversations around just some absurdity. This week's theme, which our guest is not aware of, we'll now find out about, is too much too soon. Lord knows what that's going to mean. And with that, we'd like to introduce you to our guest this week, Andrew. Andrew, take a moment and please introduce yourself.
Thanks, guys. I'm Andrew. I've known these gentlemen for quite a while now. Working in the tech space, working in gaming. They were joking that I don't really leave my house very often. So yeah, good to be on the show.
The great news about that is that these stories all happen outside of the house. So this will remind you of days.
Yes.
Days gone by pre-COVID seems to be the continuous theme, but this will remind you of the days of long gone who may come back again. But with that, Woody, let's
keep going.
Start story number one. And again, Andrew, interject as much as you'd like.
Oh, I will.
Yes. All right. Welcome, Andrew. Story number one. Here we go. Prior to COVID, my team had a boat cruise.
See theme, pre-COVID.
That's right.
Already. First sentence.
Our team leadership decided to invite a new hire named John to join us on the boat, even though he wasn't starting until the following Monday. Joining to have a little fun. Get to know
Andrew,
the team.
have you ever,
Too much too soon.
Well, that's the whole
Right.
question. Like, that's where you wonder where it's going. But do you remember, like, again, pre-COVID, like, you have a new hire, you'd invite them, and the line I always remember, there's a woman I used to work with at Unity, where we both worked, which I will not name her, who always said, no one ever gets promoted at a work event, but many people get fired. So let's keep going.
I do remember said person and said statement. Careers are lost at company events. I think was specifically what she said.
Careers are not made at company events. You're lost. That's
there
right.
You go.
Lost. That's right. So John showed up, and within 15 minutes, he was drinking a ton. And as he continued to drink, he started being very offensive, as tends to happen for a lot of people when they drink.
By the way, this was a team outing event on a boat cruise, correct?
It was like a catamaran thing.
Okay. Oh, catamaran.
A catamaran.
Which you already know. Has anything ever good come from a team boat event?
Not really.
You kind of know how the story is going to unfold. I mean,
yeah.
Yes. He started making jokes, but they weren't funny. He made a comment about a teammate's accent, and then one remote worker being lazy, and then something weird about pronouns. As we were pulling back into the marina, everyone was grabbing their bags and winding down. Out of nowhere, John yelled, "Yo, boss man, over here!" I don't know. I wasn't sure how.
Where's John from? Because that accent is.
Yo, boss man, get over here. We could do it lots of different ways.
I was also hoping that we were going to get some boat time of him falling off the boat or throwing up off the side of the boat. We landed back at the marina real quick here.
We did.
So funny story. So back in, I can tell this because it was back in 2000. So there's 25 years on this. I was actually at a team event where an individual got super drunk. I won't talk about the company I was at. Great news. It's not on my LinkedIn, so nobody can find it out. Got super drunk. And this was back in the days where it was a big consulting firm and we had to share rooms with other coworkers. And literally this guy got super drunk, went to his room, vomited in his bed.
Oh.
Because there was vomit there, went and slept in the other person's bed while everyone was downstairs. And so this poor guy goes back to his room and there's literally like vomit in one bed and he's crashed on the bed. And he'd also vomited in the bathtub.
Ugh.
So again, no career is ever made from these things. But Woody, keep going.
Yeah, on that positive note, then he bear hugged our VP in front of everyone, clearly trashed, and yelled, "Can't wait to work for you, man. We're gonna crush it." The VP was not impressed.
Wow.
Yeah, VP was not impressed. The boat docked. John was asked to stay on the boat. The rest of us left. And then Monday came and went. No John. Someone finally asked what happened, and our manager said, "I think we dodged a bullet here."
So Andrew, the question for you on this is: have you ever experienced Johns in your career? Actually, I know is also named another name for prostitute. But anyway.
I'm not going to lie. I've almost been John in my career. Not that bad. Not the first disrespectful John, but definitely drinking quite a bit at company events, dishing out hugs. But I have. So it was actually at my first job when I was just coming out of university. And I won't mention the company, but we had it was like a 3-year celebration event, and the company had just been around for 3 years. And so obviously they flew in everyone from the company, had a bunch of people in Europe. And one of the folks, well, I guess it's not exactly like the story because the person was technically an employee already. But one of the folks who flew over, everyone thought they were actually very good friends with the C-suite because they were from the same location in Europe. And by the end of that night, it was pretty clear that this individual was like almost really strongly disliked our C-suite and made it really, really clear at that event. And so everyone over here in the States was mega confused because again, we all had the preconceived notions that they were like really, really buddy. They were not.
So just to interject, so when you say that like they were not friendly or not of a great relationship with the C-suite, were they like saying? Were they like drunk?
They were basically calling them out around everyone for decisions that they were making, had recently made, and I think it's okay to give constructive feedback in private, but when you're absolutely trashed at a public, big event. And you're in a group of people in a circle, when you're in those weird, awkward circles and people are talking, and the C-suite is there and you're calling them out. You got a lot of dead silences and crickets and real awkward turtles. But yeah, that was not fun.
Did anyone grab your John at this thing? Like, did anyone come over and be like, "Hey, man, like maybe
no." Which was weird, it's like, no, they kind of just let it happen. We never saw that version of John again after that. But they kind of
everyone's just popping popcorn and just watching the show.
Just watching. Yeah, exactly. So
what was being your more experienced self now that you've had at least a few years in the corporate sphere? Would you have reacted differently if the same situation happened today? If you hired someone and it was a new hire?
Oh my gosh! If I had hired them, if they were my direct, the second I heard a word out of their mouth, I would definitely politely grab them and move them off to the side and make sure that they leave immediately. Because as you said, no careers are made at these events, but they're definitely lost.
Yes.
So yeah.
It's a really, Woody, what about you? Have you ever seen a John?
Yes. Many a times. Earlier in my career, especially. I don't spend as much time going out to the events and parties as I used to. But certainly back in my early agency days, where, every night where we'd ship something or get ready to launch a campaign, and people would go out to take a load off and bond. There's a lot of it. I don't have a specific story that comes to mind, but I don't think I've ever been on a boat with my team before or a team before. But there's certainly been holiday parties and other events where somebody has tagged along or shown up. I have experienced the new employee, somebody who's supposed to start the next week and they're invited to something to meet the team.
Yeah.
And they do exactly this thing. That has probably happened at least twice. They never make it to their first day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
As a manager, I've always done the leave before it gets messy kind of thing. It's like, it was interesting. So Woody and I, in preparation for this session, Woody actually more did research on some similar stories. And these are on the internet, so we can name the companies because this is on the internet. So it's public knowledge. Okay. So back in 2022 at a Wayfair, they've got just what you need. What's their new thing? They're like every house, every home. Anyway, an intern got so drunk at a summer event, danced provocatively, and live streamed it on TikTok. So not only did they do it, but they streamed it.
Showed the world.
Broadcast.
They showed the world, and they were let go, which is crazy. And then this other thing with TikTok, I mean, aging myself, I don't totally understand all the trends, but one in 2023 was a drunken orientation trend where people and some big companies, interns, would film themselves being wasted at their orientation and TikTok it. So the world of limit your career is just getting
oh my gosh.
more
I've never heard of that trend, but that's a rabbit hole that I probably will go down later today. Always some good videos on there.
There's always it's always a thing. But with that, let's move to our second story of today.
Yes, our second story. Andrew, you might actually have, based on a comment you had just made about hugging, you might find this particular story interesting. So this happened in my old job, not mine. I'm reading the story. This is not an Andrew story.
Yeah.
Just to be very clear, this is a submission.
When we say my old job, it's someone who...
I'm reading someone else's story. So this person's old job, a tech company, where he had locations around the world, it wasn't unusual to go months without seeing your teammates in person. So when people ran into each other at events, get-togethers, offsites, they'd hug. It was part of the company culture.
Which Andrew, as we all know, the three of us working together,
we have all hugged.
Familiar. It's like hugs.
I don't know if I've hugged Torian, but
I
definitely hugged Woody.
Missed opportunity.
It's when you sort of reflect in your life about the things that you've missed, that should be in your top 10.
The lost opportunity.
It's pretty spectacular. But Woody, keep going.
Yeah. During a middle manager leadership offsite, things got weird. In a meeting about evolving our culture, Linda from HR brought up the hugs. She said the hugging needed to stop, that it was unprofessional and made people uncomfortable.
Which means that Linda, that's like Linda. Come on, Linda. What's going on there? What's up?
Yeah, she insisted that we form a cross-functional task force to look into it. And I was asked to join this task force. We took it seriously, surveyed employees, talked it through, and the response from the wider team was clear. People didn't want or need a hugging policy.
Have you in the world of how ridiculous is that? Aren't there other things to focus on versus hugging?
Well, it's very specific. A hugging policy.
I can understand if you're an individual and you're like, I don't want to be touched. I don't care if other people hug, but don't touch me. How you get that information to the rest of the company and how you get those people to speak up makes sense. But shutting that down as a company-wide policy, especially where there's cultural differences in different countries, or hugging, or even doing little kisses on the cheek, the two-sided European kiss on the cheek. It's a little weird to apply the policy.
I sit on the board of a nonprofit here in Portland, and the mother of the man who runs it, the first time I met her, I went to shake her hands, and she goes, "Honey, I don't shake hands. I fist bump or I hug. You choose." And I was like, "Man, that's great. You're just totally upfront of it. That is this is your welcoming kind of invitation, right?" And so, to your point, Andrew, it's if you don't want to hug, create an environment maybe where it's not about banning hugging, but more it's about giving people hey, do you want to hug? How do you feel about it?
Yeah. I like the open door there. It's funny you bring up the fist bump because it's pretty common in my current place of work. It's kind of our thing. So
the fist bump.
Yeah. And
maybe the approach is moving forward. You walk up to somebody with a hand like this and a hand like this. And you say, fist bump or hug.
One
you
arm
choose.
out for a hug and one fist up.
You want a fist bump or a hug?
I guess so. This story. So as this was sort of coming together, and Woody will keep reading this, but like the one thing that was interesting about this is like some of the stories seem so absurd and crazy, and like this one is like I'm so on the fence about this because I think it's an extreme on the HR side, but I can understand how if you're an individual who feels like they're in an environment where everyone's hugging, but you don't want to hug, but you feel awkward or uncomfortable saying you don't want to hug. So this is one of those where I don't know. I'm like on the.
I'm pretty split on this one as well.
Yeah, because it really is like, what if everyone else is hugging and you're like, well, I'm going to be left out if I don't hug, but you don't feel comfortable. I don't know. Anyway, what do you keep? Let's keep going.
Yeah. So employees thought we should all just use common sense, respect boundaries, and let people decide for themselves.
There we go.
That's exactly what that's exactly what we put in our leadership report. Yes. 3 weeks later, an all company email went out. Based on the work of our task force and to maintain professionalism, we're discouraging all physical greetings, including hugging.
So Woody, just to clarify, this went out from who? From HR? Or from who?
This went out from the
from
HR.
So as part of the task force. They're announcing a company policy at this point.
Also, discouraging all physical greetings is a pretty blanket statement for don't touch. So fist bump is technically a physical greeting. So it doesn't really feel, I guess discouraging implies a little bit of the choice, but.
Yeah, but they want to come out and say, no,
don't do it.
But also, to your point, Andrew, the word discouraging, it's like, what is the line there? Is it like no? Or is it like, maybe don't?
Right. So the reaction, it sounds like, was a what? Every single person on the task force was furious. It was the exact opposite of what we had recommended. Turns out, Linda had quietly gone to the execs and misrepresented the work we had done. And unfortunately, the word never got back to the company executives, so the policy was put in place. We tried to make light of it, and after that, anytime someone saw a colleague in person and leaned in, you'd hear someone whisper, "Careful, Linda might be watching." Oh.
The omnipresent, the anti-hugger Linda.
That's where I can see the word discourage. We strongly discourage this, but no one ever said you can't do it. So, no.
Yeah.
If the task force went rogue.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it's, I'm sure, Andrew, you've been in this situation before, you too, Woody, where the image of creating like a group, a research group, task force, whatever, to do something, and the findings come back and then they're completely disregarded and the policy put in place. It's like you're just sort of doing the walk. It's like walk the walk, but not talking. So this one to me is, again, it's like I'm on the fence because this also resonates of like, man, we've all been there where like, wow, like people are listening, like they're putting together like an actual group, like a listening group to hear people's reflections and thoughts. And then you're like, wait, what?
Wait, what? How did we get here?
I thought we said something completely opposite.
How would you guys approach this one if you were, on the C-suite or kind of more on the leadership side? Would you guys try to pulse the whole company? Would you do the kind of BS strike force approach?
I mean, I
task force, not strike force.
A task force seems a little excessive.
Tiger team.
The Tiger team. Yeah.
Tiger team.
I think it's one of these. I think it's one of these situations where we're grown-ups and you just have to make sure that there's some level of understanding or consent going into it. And I actually was kind of half joking with the raised fist and the open arm. I mean, you're asking somebody basically for permission and they're more than welcome to shut you down.
Yeah. I guess also like if you can default to the safest path until you get to know someone.
That's exactly right. A handshake is never a bad, or a fist bump is always like a good way to start. And if they're like, you know what, get to know each other and you get to that point where you're on hugging terms, that's fine. But don't be too blatant about it in front of people all the time too, because that can make some people uncomfortable.
It's really, for me, it's, again, I go back to it's a challenge because I think people should not, physical touching can make people feel very uncomfortable. And in the same regard, I also kind of expect that you hope that you have people on your team that will say something when they're uncomfortable, because get rid of hugging. Just talk about a meeting where someone's, we're all been in meetings where someone's super dominant and is controlling the room.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably guilty of that more than anybody. But anyway,
I was like, oops,
oh god,
oh god, he's talking about me.
Oh god, we're talking about ourselves. But that someone like you hope that someone would say like, hey, look, I disagree, or speak up. And so I think the physical side of it, I think, is where for me it gets a little bit more precarious because it is more about personal space. But it's also fostering an environment where people feel like they're able to speak up, whether it's about hugging or policies or things they agree or disagree with. And I think that's to your point about what would you do as an executive. Like I know from my own experiences in the C-suite, it's like it's our responsibility to create the culture where people feel comfortable saying, you know what, like I don't want to be hugged. Like, hey, like it's great to see you. I'm so excited. You know what? I'm not a hugger. And to feel comfortable saying that, and the C-suite or just the company and the culture fostering that environment where people feel that level of comfort, I think is key. So
agreed.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a COVID type back here.
it was so funny with COVID. I thought hugs would be gone after COVID.
That's why I brought it up.
And then COVID, and then like COVID went away,
Yeah.
and everyone was like, "I just want a hug. I just want to feel people."
Everyone needs a hug.
Anyway, so Andrew, thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode. Underrated. That was great. Really, again, just the wildness, and it's also I think when we look at it again, like it's not so black and white. Sometimes there's some gray. So it's interesting to have a conversation about that and sort of where we would go to make situations that we find a little precarious a little bit better. Again, to anyone listening, if you like this podcast, this episode, and you want to listen to some more, subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast wherever you listen to them. But most importantly, tell your friends because perspectives on these stories are pretty amazing when you actually have discussions around them, as you found today. Again, thank you, Andrew, for being with us.
Thank you guys.
And we'll see you all next time.
Awesome.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Tune in weekly on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you like to find your podcasts. If you have a story you'd like to share or you'd like to join us on the show as a guest, visit underndapodcast.com and drop us a line. We look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.